Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today for day 2 of White Christmas featuring Tim Holtz dies. And today's card is featuring this die here, and there's the item number, and this is the holiday lamppost. These are big dies, and this die has 3 pieces: the lamppost, the holly, and holly berries. I'm using a top folding card that measures 6.5 by 5. And I've cut a mat just slightly smaller than the card itself. Here's the sample of the finished card. Beautiful white card. So let's go ahead and get started with the embossing folder that I used. This is a Doris embossing folder. And I've gone ahead and ran the top mat, which is just slightly smaller than my card, and I have the design at the bottom. I will put a mat on the inside and I flip it the other way just to give a different design. So now I'm just adding my ATG on the back of my top mat. Make sure I get enough on there. When you emboss, you need a little bit of extra adhesive. Just add that to the top of my card. And this will be put together fairly quickly. And that's what I'm trying to do with the cards that I designed with these old dies that we have in our stash. So I hope you're following along. As you can see, I flipped the embossed piece on the inside and having the embossed section at the top right hand corner, just to give it a different look, and you still have a beautiful design on the inside. So once again, adding my ATG, a little bit in the center, and then adding that to the inside of my card. I always like to finish the inside, and that way they're ready to go for mailing. Next, I'm going to take the die cut, and I've put together the holly leaves that I cut out with glitter cardstock, and I've added the Nouveau drops for the berries, and this is in the color Crystal Drops. It's simply white. Gives it a nice look, a little bit more dimensional. And now I'm going to add a piece of vellum to the lamp itself to simulate a fogged glass look. So I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive just around the border of the lamp itself, and then add the piece of vellum, and then I'll trim that out in just a little bit. I'm just going to lay it down and put one of my blocks on the vellum to give it a few minutes to dry. In the meantime, this is the sentiment that I've chosen. I cut out a sentiment with one of my dies from my stash that reads Merry Christmas, and this is what the die looks like, and I'll add that to my card in just a minute. The letters cut out individually, so this is a little bit harder to adhere, but I'll get to that in just a bit. So this should be completely dry now. It doesn't take long, and I'm going to go ahead and trim around the shape of the lantern and trim away the overhanging vellum. Pretty easy to trim. I just do a rough cut on the side, along the top. So you just need a very small piece of vellum for this. And just one more piece here that I'll cut away. And next I'll just add some foam tape to the glass portion of the lamp post. Next I'll just finish up with the foam tape behind the vellum to make everything at the equal height, since I had already added one layer of foam tape to the rest of the back of the lamp post. Just want to give it some added dimension to the front of the card, since this is the only thing that's going to be popped up. Just add a couple more pieces, just some thin foam pieces on the edge there, and just a couple more. One last piece, and then we'll be able to add this to the card. Just remove the backing. And now I'm going to center it in the middle of my card and leave space at the top for my sentiment. So now I'm just going to cut these apart and add the Merry Christmas in a long row at the top of the card, going across the top. Last letter for the word Merry at the top, and I've got my Merry Christmas letters spelled out across the top of the card. Now I felt like something was missing, so I'm going to go ahead and make a small bow off camera and add it to the lamp post. Of course, I'll be making a white bow. And here it is, a nice, small, dainty white bow. I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to the back, and that way I can make sure I position it correctly after I trim off these tails. They're a little long. A nice pair of sharp scissors. These are the scissors that I use only for ribbon. Keeps them nice and sharp, and you get a nice crisp cut. Let's just add some liquid glue. And add this right there. So this completes card number 2. Give you a close-up. And next will be followed by a close-up still picture of this card. Thanks everybody for watching. Take care.